Picture this. By 2030, every single app on your phone could be completely obsolete. Not because they stopped working, but because your phone learned to create better ones on the fly, perfectly tailored to exactly what you need in that exact moment. Sound impossible? Well, according to groundbreaking research from companies like Anthropic and Google, we're already seeing the early signs of what researchers are calling the post-app era, and it's going to fundamentally change everything about how we interact with technology. Welcome to Mindcast. I'm Will, and today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating reports I've encountered this year, the post-app era. The rise of personal software and the Agentic Operating System. Now, before you think this is just another tech prediction that'll never materialize, let me tell you why this matters to you right now. We're not talking about incremental improvements to your iPhone or Android. We're talking about a complete architectural inversion, a shift so fundamental that it makes the transition from desktop computers to smartphones look like a minor software update. By the end of today's episode, you'll understand why we might be witnessing the fourth great paradigm shift in computing history, how AI is about to become your personal software development team, and what this means for everything from the way you work to the apps you use daily. We'll explore the timeline that could see this transformation complete by 2030, and I'll give you 3 concrete ways to prepare for this future starting today. So grab your headphones, settle in, and let's explore what might be the most important technological shift of our lifetime. To understand where we're headed, we need to grasp the pattern of how computing interfaces have evolved. Think of it as 4 distinct eras, each defined by the gap between human intent and machine execution. First came the command line era. Remember those old movies where hackers typed mysterious green text into black screens? That wasn't Hollywood dramatics. That was reality. Every single task required you to know precise syntax and exact commands. Want to copy a file? You better memorize copy/y, filename.extension, destination, or whatever arcane incantation your system demanded. Intent and execution were essentially the same thing. Then came the GUI revolution of the 1980s. Suddenly, you could click on a picture of a folder to open it, drag files to the trash to delete them. This introduced what researchers call the noun-verb paradigm. Select an object, apply an action. It democratized computing, absolutely, but it also locked us into whatever software designers had pre-built for us. The mobile revolution took this constraint even further. Apps became these sealed, sandboxed experiences, brilliant for touch interaction and easy distribution, sure, but they fragmented our digital lives into isolated silos. Your photos live in one app, your notes in another, your calendar in yet another, and good luck getting them to work together in any meaningful way. But here's where it gets really exciting. We're now entering what researchers are calling the fourth paradigm, the post-app era. And this isn't just another interface tweak. This is what the research describes as a fundamental architectural inversion. Instead of you adapting to software, software adapts to you. Instead of hunting through app stores to find the right tool, you simply state your problem, and the operating system constructs exactly the tool you need in real time. The OS stops being a passive resource manager and becomes an active, intelligent agent. Think about what this means practically. Today, if you want to track your freelance invoices, predict your tax liability, and get alerts when your cash flow dips, you might need 3 different apps, a spreadsheet, and a lot of manual data entry. In the Agentic OS world, you just tell your device, create a system that handles my freelance finances. And it does. Not by launching existing apps, but by generating a completely personalized tool that understands your specific business model, your local tax laws, your preferred workflow patterns. This is powered by breakthrough AI like Anthropic's Claude 4.6, artificial intelligence that can act as what they call a senior engineer. We're not talking about glorified autocomplete here. This is AI that can plan complex software projects, sustain effort over long periods, catch its own mistakes, and deliver production-ready applications. The technical barrier to software creation is simply dissolving. And get this, Claude 4.6 can even assemble what they call agent teams. Imagine having a virtual squad of specialized developers, one for back-end logic, one for user interface design, one for security review, all coordinating autonomously to build exactly what you need. Every smartphone owner essentially gets their own personal software development agency. Now let's talk about the user experience revolution that makes this possible. The key concept here is something called malleable software. Jeffrey Litt, one of the leading researchers in this space, uses a brilliant metaphor. He says today's app ecosystem is like a food court. You can only consume finished meals from a fixed menu. The future ecosystem is like a kitchen where you have access to raw ingredients and tools, with AI acting as your sous chef, bridging the gap between your desire for a specific meal and your lack of culinary expertise. But the real breakthrough is in the interface itself. Google's research into natively adaptive interfaces proposes that AI becomes the primary interface layer. Instead of accessibility being an afterthought, like a screen reader layered over a visual interface, all output methods become equal partners. Picture this. You're driving and need to check your flight status. The system generates a purely voice-based interface with simple audio commands. You're analyzing data at your desk. It creates a dense visual dashboard perfectly tuned to your task. You're helping your child with homework. It explains complex concepts using simplified language and illustrations. Same underlying function, completely different interface, all generated in the moment to serve your specific intent, then discarded once that need is fulfilled. And here's something fascinating. They're solving what researchers call the clicking problem. Right now, AI agents that interact with websites have to guess which pixels correspond to buttons, and this breaks constantly when sites update their layouts. But there's a new standard emerging called WebMCP that allows websites to expose structured capabilities directly to AI agents. Instead of agent simulates mouse click, it becomes agent calls specific function, much faster, more reliable, infinitely more powerful. The result? Static workflows collapse into dynamic, intelligent constructions. Instead of the traditional open app, click search, enter dates, scroll results, select flight, enter payment dance, you simply say, "Get me to Tokyo for the conference," and the system identifies conference dates from your email, checks flight availability, and presents you with a single decision point. Which option do you prefer? All those intermediate steps, searching, scrolling, filtering, just vanish. But here's what really excites me about this shift. We're moving from apps as rigid, pre-packaged bundles to what researchers call capabilities, discrete units of functionality that can be dynamically assembled. An app today is like buying a Swiss Army knife, where you'll only ever use 2 of the 12 tools. Capabilities are like having exactly the right tool appear in your hand the moment you need it. This enables what the research calls hyper-personalization. If you're left-handed, colorblind, and prefer high-contrast text, every generated interface automatically adheres to these constraints. If you prefer organizing tasks by energy level rather than due date, the system creates task managers that match your mental model instead of forcing you to adapt to someone else's structure. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. What happens to the entire app economy when apps become unnecessary? This shift fundamentally threatens everything we know about digital commerce. If your operating system becomes the universal aggregator and interface generator, the value proposition of standalone apps and the centralized app stores that distribute them diminishes dramatically. The research puts it bluntly, the app ecosystem isn't inevitable. It's a historical artifact of distribution constraints that are now being removed. Think about the power dynamics here. Today, Apple and Google control the gatekeepers, the app stores. But in an agentic world, power shifts to whoever controls the AI agent. This explains why Microsoft is positioning Windows as an agentic OS,
why OpenAI is building plug-in ecosystems, why everyone's racing to own what they call the orchestration layer, rather than just the hosting infrastructure. Consumer brands face a fascinating dilemma. Companies like Uber, Starbucks, and Expedia might be forced to become headless, providing high-quality APIs and business logic while losing control over the visual interface. The app becomes what researchers call a service module. This creates real tension. Brands want to control user experience to build loyalty, but users want the OS to control the experience for consistency and convenience. The monetization models have to change completely. Traditional pay 99 cents or ad-supported models struggle when users never see the app interface. Instead, we're moving toward what the research calls agentic commerce, billions of microtransactions negotiated by AI agents in the background.
Imagine your AI booking a hotel room and the hotel automatically pays a commission to your agent provider. Or your agent suggests a restaurant for dinner, but that restaurant paid to be in the suggestion pool, provided it genuinely matches your preferences and dietary restrictions. This creates a much higher bar for relevance than current advertising, because the agent's primary loyalty is to your trust, not the advertiser's impression count. Users might pay subscriptions for smarter agents, more computational power, better reasoning capabilities, rather than paying for individual apps. Platforms like Skyfire are already building what they call Stripe for Agents, payment infrastructure that allows AI models to hold digital wallets and spend money on your behalf. But here's what really gets me excited. We're moving from mass consumption of software to mass creation. Every smartphone owner essentially gets access to tools that are too niche, too temporary, or too personal for the traditional commercial app market. However, I'd be irresponsible if I didn't address the significant challenges here. An operating system that can generate code, execute financial transactions, and modify its own behavior requires completely new security architectures. The big risk is something called prompt injection. If your OS responds to natural language, malicious text becomes the new malware. A carefully crafted email could contain invisible instructions telling your AI agent to forward all passwords or delete important files. Because these agents process everything you see, they're uniquely vulnerable to these semantic attacks. There's also the shadow AI problem. When every employee can generate workflow automation tools, IT departments lose visibility into what software is actually running on their networks. The industry is responding with what they call verifiable AI, systems where AI-generated code carries mathematical proofs of its safety properties. The OS kernel can verify these proofs before execution, ensuring that even if the AI makes mistakes, the system rejects unsafe operations because the safety proof is invalid. It's like having a mathematical guarantee of security that doesn't rely on trusting the AI model itself. So when is this actually happening? The research suggests a remarkably clear timeline. 2026 represents what they call the hybrid era. Agentic OS features appear as overlays on traditional operating systems. Windows and Android introduce deep AI agent integration, where co-pilots work alongside traditional apps. Users spend increasing time in these agent interfaces, but the app ecosystem remains dominant. 2027 to 2028 marks the malleable tipping point, as on-device neural processing units break through memory bandwidth barriers. Personal software tools become robust enough for non-technical users to replace simple software subscriptions. People start generating their own to-do apps, recipe managers, budget trackers. This causes what the researchers predict will be a churn crisis for simple utility applications. By 2030, we reach post-app reality. The dominant OS interface becomes purely intent-based. Apps exist only as legacy constructs maintained for backward compatibility, much like command line tools today. The primary digital asset becomes your user context graph, the AI's deep understanding of your preferences, habits, and needs. The primary device feature becomes inference speed rather than storage capacity. This timeline isn't just speculation. It's based on the convergence of Claude 4.6's coding capabilities, Google's generative UI research, and the hardware capabilities of next-generation neural processing units. So, what does this mean for you right now? Let me leave you with 3 concrete takeaways that you can act on today. First, start thinking in terms of capabilities, not apps. When you find yourself frustrated that an application doesn't do exactly what you need, ask yourself, what specific capability am I actually looking for? This mental shift prepares you for a world where you describe desired outcomes rather than searching for pre-built solutions. Practice articulating your digital needs in plain language rather than learning app-specific workflows. Second, experiment with AI tools that let you create rather than just consume. Try AI-powered automation platforms, no-code solutions, and voice interfaces. Get comfortable describing your needs to AI systems. Start building what I call your conversation with computers muscle. The more natural this feels now, the better positioned you'll be when these capabilities become mainstream. Third, if you're building a business or planning your career, think deeply about which parts of your value proposition are truly human-centered versus which are just artifacts of current technological limitations. The companies and professionals who thrive in this new era will be those who work symbiotically with AI agents, not those who try to compete with them. Focus on creativity, relationship building, strategic thinking, and complex problem solving that requires human judgment and emotional intelligence. This isn't just about technology, it's about a fundamental shift in the relationship between humans and digital tools. We're moving from a world where a small group of engineers creates generic tools for millions of passive consumers to one where every individual can generate tools perfectly matched to their unique context and needs. The post-app era represents more than technological change. It represents a democratization of software creation that could be as significant as the printing press or the internet itself. The original promise of personal computing was always that it would be a bicycle for the mind, a tool that could be modified, tuned, and customized exactly how each individual rider needed it. The app ecosystem, while dominant for 2 decades, was really just a transitional phase. We're finally approaching that original vision, computers that genuinely adapt to humans rather than forcing humans to adapt to computers. This transition isn't merely a feature update, it's what the research calls a systemic reorganization of the digital economy. By 2030, the primary digital asset won't be the apps you own, but the context graph that understands you. The primary device feature won't be storage capacity or processing speed, but inference capability. That's a wrap on today's deep dive into the post-app era. I'm Will, and if this exploration of the future of computing sparked something in you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you excited about a world where your device creates personalized software on demand? Or does the idea of AI agents managing your digital life concern you? What would you want your first AI-generated personal tool to accomplish? Connect with me on social media or leave a review wherever you're listening to share your perspective. Your insights help shape future episodes and keep this conversation going. Next week, we're exploring another fascinating piece of research about how quantum computing might reshape cybersecurity and digital privacy. Until then, keep your mind open, your curiosity strong, and start practicing those conversations with AI. The future is approaching faster than most people realize, and understanding it today gives us the power to shape it tomorrow. Thanks for listening to Mindcast. Keep thinking, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.